England. We had I think one or two of them actually was part of it, and now we are going to this one, and none of them, even the same thing that we actually saw at the AFCON.
Yeah.
Now, Chelle also gave reasons about their being tactically not fit to be part of his team. They couldn't the high pressing, how they can actually not drop back to position when they lose the ball and all of that. So many reasons, so many talks about the Npfl player. But now tell me exactly, because we've seen the good old days, the likes of Muriel Gumbi, Romano Sojinta, Vincent Inyama. We can go on and on. These guys were actually top-notch players who can actually, one area, Justice Christopher. These guys actually strode into the Super Eagles, even though they are not the first team players, but they're comfortably in the Super Eagles. Even in 2013, we also saw the likes of Azubike Igweke, Ozoyin, our golden boy, Sondumba, who actually got us the tournament, and Godfrey Obabuna. And all of these guys were part of that particular thing. Now we are hearing this particular stuff about Eric Chelle. Is this Eric Chelle's tactical issue that is actually affecting the boys, or we don't really have the quality again?
It goes both ways. I don't want to believe that we don't have the quality. I mean, Ikechukwu, you can't tell me that in a league with 20 teams, averaging over 30 players, that's 600 players. Yes, there will be foreigners. Let's give it like 100 foreigners. 500 players, you can't tell me that you cannot make a team of 11 from 500 players in a league. But at the same time, it shows the quality of the league is actually telling on these boys. Nigeria, last time they made the statistics, Nigeria were 12th. The Npfl were 12th in Africa. Not in the world, though. They were 12th in Africa. So it shows a lot about the league. So for me, yes, it goes both ways. And Eric Chelle, in his 19-point wish list, he mentioned that he wants to have the time to go and watch these players. But then we know what it means for even a normal fan to go and watch an Npfl match. Let's say you're supporting a team that is in Lagos and they want to go and play in the North. You know what it means to go to the North right now in Nigeria. Is Eric Chelle's safety even guaranteed to go and be watching matches all around? But I still have an issue with that one as well. Because when you look at the likes of Thomas Tuchel in England, he doesn't go to all the games. But he must have seen a scout report about a player. Maybe he's playing for Burnley. I saw him at the Burnley match. He must have seen a player that's playing for Burnley. Okay, let me go and watch this game. I'm closer to Burnley at the time. Let me go and watch the match. And they have the provision for him to go and watch the game at Burnley. But in Nigeria here, is it the same thing? Do they have the provision for Eric Chelle to say, okay, there's a player in Katsina United. I want to go and watch a player at Katsina United. I want to go and watch Joseph Arumala at Ikorodu City. If it's about the quality of the players, I know that there are good players in the Npfl. I just mentioned one. There was a player that went away. I'm trying to get his name now. He plays for Katsina United. He's on 10 goals. There's a player on 11 goals, Godwin Obaje. You might say maybe their ages and all of that, but there are also young players that are doing their thing in the Npfl. But we know how it is with the Npfl. If a player breaks out of the Npfl now, before you know, he's going to Tanzania, he's going to Egypt, he's going to Zimbabwe to go and play. There's no longevity for these players to stay, in the Npfl for, before you know it now, that player that was shining in the Npfl last season is no longer there.
Well, let's
before another one will come up, the squad may have been released. You will not see any Npfl player there.
Let's try to connect to Pelumi Adeosun. All right, so Pelumi, good morning and welcome to Sport Republic.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. We can. Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Pelumi, we've been talking about, the Nigerian players being snubbed by Eric Chelle for the upcoming, Four Nation tournament right there in Turkey. And Afis was talking earlier on when I asked about, we've seen, crop of Npfl players being part of the Super Eagles setup, even up to 2013 where we actually won in the championship. The person who scored the winning goal for us was also an Npfl player at the time. And, Eric Chelle is also talking about the fact that, these guys are unable to press and they, tactically they are not fit to be a part of his project. Now I was asking, is it about the players' inability to actually fit into Eric Chelle's plan, or the fact that we don't even have the quality? Where exactly, did we fail?
Yeah, well, I think you are quite correct, and I think Eric Chelle is also spot on with the tactical aspect of football, which is very, very important. And just like we saw at the last CHAN tournament, it was displayed that those boys, those home-based players were actually tactically inept. They didn't really get the tactics of the coach. But then the question we should be asking ourselves is, when exactly are they going to blend in? And when and how are they going to blend in if you don't give them the opportunity? If they don't get it, this is a Four Nation Invitational tournament, for crying out loud. It's more like a friendly game. Are you telling me that the NPFL players are not good enough to make the 23-man list to play against the likes of Iran, Jordan, Costa Rica? With due respect to all of these nations, I don't think is good enough from Eric Chelle and the NFF that they keep snubbing these players. We are not asking you to play them. We are not asking you to start them. But then when do these guys get that exposure? When do they get that tactical aspect of the game? If you don't get to call them up, if they don't get to play, that means the same problem will keep repeating itself. If we want to invite players again, then we will still keep having the same problems of these guys are not tactically good enough when we have actually not trained them. And do not forget that the last CHAN tournament that we're talking about, during the qualifiers, these guys were not coached by Eric Chelle. Eric Chelle took over the team, I think, just a few weeks to the competition. So there was little or no time to even blend in tactically these particular players. So when do they now want to get the tactics of the coach? These are the tournaments, these are the training sessions where you can actually help them. We're not asking you to invite 10, 12 Npfl players. But then just like Afiz said, I think it is not bad enough if we have two or three of them get called up, get the training, get the exposure, and then maybe some other time, then you get a crop of other players. Look at the last AFCON call-up. We had some set of players that didn't even get up to 5-10 minutes to play with the national team. So are you not telling me that the NPFL players could not also get the opportunity? I don't think it's really good enough that we want to play a nation like Iran and Jordan, and we are still not including the NPFL players. It is very, very sad. And just like you said, in the past, it used to be us relying on these players, but right now, we've made it based on foreign players the more. And I think it is going to spell a doom for Nigeria. Honestly, that is just the bitter truth. If we don't help these players, our league is bad. We understand. As it dropped, but then when would and how would we help the quality to improve when we don't actually invite these players to actually play them? So buy into the idea of Afis that it is not good enough that Eric Chelle has decided to snub these NPFL players once again.
Well, I mean, let me staying with you. We can all agree here now that the league is bad. It's in a very bad shape. But how then can we make it attractive again?
The NPFL?
Yes. How can we make it attractive again?
Well, I think to make the NPFL attractive is a very difficult one. Let me start from the fact of the aspect of investment, financial investment, which I think is very, very important, and the major problem that we've got in this league. Afiz mentioned something about our best players, our best legs in the NPFL. After 1 year, you see them going to Tanzania, going to Benin Republic, going to Libya, things like that. And this is because of finances, because they want to get more money. They are working for money. And when they don't get enough payment in the NPFL, then they seek greener pastures as well. So we need to make the NPFL, we need to make it a lot more financially buoyant, like in terms of players' welfare. This is not where we'll be coming to say that, okay, a player has gone AWOL, we didn't see him again because there's no contract. So we need to sort all of these things first. If the NPFL is attractive, if we are paying players in the NPFL 5-10 million, I don't think they will be looking at these other leagues again. The players want to stay. Even players abroad want to come. How many players now? How many of them do we have in the NPFL? The NPFL is majorly dominated. I think we've got about 90 to 92% of Nigerian players in the NPFL. And it is mainly because of the finances. These guys are not well paid. Only a few clubs are actually paying these players very well. And now leave aside the aspect of payment. When these players also get injured, they tend to their welfare by themselves. I think for the past few days now, a few weeks now, we've been seeing narratives going around of some NPFL clubs abandoning players that got injured, caring for them. It is not good enough. It's just a case of maybe a player has an ACL injury playing abroad and playing for Chelsea or for United, and they now abandon him and allow him to go treat him. It is not good enough. A player is still with you. He's under contract with you. You're obligated to do all of these things for them. So we need to also look at that. Although some clubs are actually doing that in the NPFL. Yes, they take care of their players, welfareism very well. When they get injured, they know how to take care of them, cater for them. But then some clubs just abandon some players. I think it was last month or 2 months ago. they were actually crowdfunding for an Npfl player to treat himself, who has a very, very serious injury while playing for an NNL-based club. They were crowdfunding for him online, and he injured himself while playing for a club side. It is not good enough. All these things, I think they are bad spells for the Npfl. So these are the aspects that we need to actually look at. And all of this still comes with investment. I've always been an advocate of the government, like maybe not completely handing off a league, but then maybe not in charge of the clubs. What the government should do is provide the funding, but then they should not be the ones actually running this club. But then they can provide the funds and then set up a monitoring committee, but then let these clubs be handled by technocrats. Let the government just keep providing the funds, let them keep providing the investment. And then I think in the next few years, we'll see improvement in the Npfl.
Absolutely, but let's go still talk about the Npfl. We have a very serious situation in our hands, and I mean there's no better people who can actually come to change a system than those who really understand how system works. I think a case in point, when Singapore actually gained independence, look when you actually sent crop of young talent outside across America and other parts of the world to study, and then they came back to develop the country. Now we have an ex-international who has played at the highest level across the world. What role should they actually play at this point to change the situation right there in the league?
What are the ex-internationals that are the realm of affairs now? What are they doing? The ex-internationals, the realm of affairs, the one that they have been given little power. What have they been doing? Now let's start mentioning names. Now, what did JJ Okocha do as the Delta FA chairman? It was a very, very abysmal performance from him. What is Iwan Kokano doing with Eyimba? Eyimba is a team that is battling relegation. Eyimba has not been a team that they've been spending more time debunking news about them rather than their performance on the field of play. That is not the People's Elephant that we used to know. The People's Elephant used to be like the biggest club, one of the biggest club in Africa, one of the biggest club in Nigeria, league contenders every time, and now they are now battling relegation. They are looking for survival. It is not good enough, and they are being managed by a certain ex-international. They are being managed Iwan Kokano, the same ex-internationals that we have been calling for. Look at a certain Finidi George, ex-international. What did he do with the Super Eagles of Nigeria? So all of these things, the list goes on and on. Look at a certain Emmanuel Amunike. He's currently coaching an NNL club now, and they are not even assured of getting promotion. The club got relegated, they got slots, then they got relegated again. And this is another ex-international, those that we are counting on to actually make things happen. And I think it must be said that we should know how to discern between you being a good footballer and being a good administrator. If you're a good footballer, yes, you achieved a whole lot at being a footballer. You need to take up administrative courses that would make you do well as a better administrator. Not because you were good on the field of play, it does not translate that you will be good in the office or good in the dugout as well. So I think that is where a lot of people are actually a lot of these ex-internationals are getting it wrong. You take administrative courses, you make yourself better, and maybe you put yourself in a good position. For now, I don't think I can say that there's a particular ex-international that can actually transform things in the NFF now. Although I think they should be given their own opportunity as well. Maybe not to lead like the head, but then the little ones that they have been given, what have they done with it? Those that have represented them have not really done well, to be honest. And I think it's also a bad audition for those that also want to come. So for now, I think ex-internationals should. I don't really think they should be the way forward at this particular point in time.
But Afis, I mean, Pelumi actually mentioned, so many things about this ex-international. Yeah, but let's look at another angle to what he said. Now we've got the likes of Kanu Wankwo, a big player. Any day, anytime, can walk into any room in Arsenal. We've got JJ. He's got ties with Bolton. He's got ties with PSG. We've got Sunday Olise, Bochum, Dortmund, Juventus. We've got all of these players, who's got their tentacles across top clubs in Europe. Right. Yes, they might not be at the very best when it comes to administration. I mean, Amunike, he also mentioned, is also, he's got his ties with Barcelona, and he did so well with the under-17 Victor Osimhen and co. And also he did so well, managing the Tanzania national team. Of course, we don't expect Tanzania to become, the Nigeria of Africa or one of the biggest footballing nations. Of course, owing to the
players are already moving to the league.
Of course, that's exactly where I was.
It shows that they are already taking
exactly where I was headed, because I'm talking about, the development of their league and how how our ex-international who has actually seen it all can actually jump in. Administratively, they might not have it, but they have the connection to pull the strings. They have, the clout to actually make things work and then bring people who can actually make it work. I mean, what do you think?
But it's so sad now that these so-called ex-internationals are now doing more of talking than acting.
What should they do?
They should act.
What kind of act?
Go into the clubs that they have the connections and go and try to do something. Even if they can't do that, let them start. Even if they don't have the connections to go and be getting players from those clubs that they've played, they still have connections within the country as well. They are still, highly revered names in the country. They can bring boys. If a Sunday Olise walks into, let's say, a community and say, look, I want to pick some of your players, the CV can speak for him. They know him. I want to pick players from even their own local governments, where they've come from in Nigeria. They can pick players from there, start an academy. A lot of people will still want to see what they can do because they know what they've done for the Super Eagles. You can entrust your child to go and play for a Sunday Olise academy because it is Sunday Olise, because it is Finidi George, because it's Julius Agawa, all those players. But at the same time as well, aside from the fact that they can go into their own, they can act by going into their own, local government, there are some of them that cannot even talk because of the government. There are some people, some of these players, they've actually suffered with the Super Eagles during their own playing time. And they've decided that, look, we can try. In fact, we've tried, but we just want to stay aside. That is the problem. Some want to act, but they can't act because of the same people that dealt with them while they were there are still here. So they don't want to go near, all those kind of people. While there are some that they just didn't want to act.
Okay, so yeah, we understand that, there are problems with...
But there's an ex-international that is, let me say, low-key making some waves in the Npfl, even though he's still playing. And that's Ahmed Musa with the
fine. We are talking about, setting up a standard for the league to help Nigerian football actually develop, right? Let's look at, let's be the best of coaches, because of, what they've actually done that we've seen. But they can actually do something outside.
In terms of investing.
But is it just the effort they've made that is the problem, or the fact that there's also a problem with the system that is also trying to put them apart? Because we have a certain mathematical 7 in the person of Segun Odegbami who actually tried at so many points to lead the NFF, but he couldn't get it, and he actually cried about how people were actually witch hunting him.
The man has been reduced to just speaking his own mind through a media house. That's what they've reduced him to. He has tried with him. I had the privilege of working with him one time. He has told me how he has tried to go into the system, but he kept getting knocked back.
Tell me, is the system the major problem with this NPF ex-international doing their thing, or it's just the Npfl? I keep saying Npfl. The ex-international inability to actually ensure that things are done right.
Is the system, absolutely the system. The system is very, very rotten. The system is very, very terrible. The system can't even make you thrive. The system is so bad to the extent that if you have good intentions, trust me, within a few months, the system will corrupt you. I'm telling you that. The system is so bad. Look at what Brownie Day said when he left Eyimba. Look at what he said about Eyimba. Look at the shocking revelations that he made about this particular club. I don't know if you can classify Brownie Day also as an ex-international.
He is.
But then he had the mindset of coming back home to play for this club. And look at what he said. Despite the money that Eyimba made, they were still paying players peanuts. They were still treating players anyhow. The system is very, very bad, very honest. So a lot of people would not even want to get involved. Some of these internationals also have like their names, they have their reputations to protect. And they know that it's a gamble. When you get in there, it is easy to say on the outside, honestly. But then when you get in, you see a whole lot of things, and you cannot do it alone. That's just the thing. If you want to do it alone, you would see some people still trying to say a lot of things about you that would even get you discouraged. So the system is very, very bad, honestly. So I don't even blame some of these ex-internationals that don't even want to get involved. But then, just like you said, I get your point. They can also play their part. They can also be doing their own. Let it be said that they also did their own. I think where the world is going to now, a lot of people will see it, that the internet will even see it. Nigerians will see that, okay, you played your part. You did your own. You did your best. It's even a time where everyone wants to give you a fair hearing. That almost on the internet, if you get in there, a lot of people would get your own point of view that, okay, this is what happened when you were there. But some of these people do not even want to talk. It looks like they have signed non-disclosure contracts. They don't even want to talk. A lot of them know things about this league that is very, very bad. But then when you ask them, they'll just be like, Let us just not say anything about it, which keeps making matters worse. So I think is definitely the system that's got problems. And if the system is not fixed, and the thing is, the ex-internationals cannot fix the system. That's just the thing. It is practically rigged against them. Look at the NFF Congress now. It doesn't even recognize ex-internationals like that. I don't think they've got more than 1 or 2 votes in deciding who becomes NFF president. So how would they even have a say when all of those is not even coming into play? So I think the system is the major problem that our football has got in this country.
Sadly, Pelumi just painted a very gloomy picture. And let's move away from that. Let's talk about something that really happened on Sunday, as Arsenal actually eventually lost their first of 4 major chase. Talking about the titles they were chasing all through the season, and a lot of reactions have been pouring after that particular game, and so many persons have actually been talking. Big questions have been asking. People have been talking about, is this the usual trend that we've always seen? Is this the beginning of Arsenal bottling all competitions? And remarks have been going on, and Arsenal's hope of securing historic quadruple came to an end after that particular defeat right there, at the Wembley Stadium. And second half goals from Nico O'Reilly sealed the victory for City, with the opening goals coming from error from Kepa Arrizabalaga. The defeat ends Arsenal's pursuit of 4 major trophies this season, having been in contention for the Premier League, FA Cup, and UEFA Champions League. It also marked another setback in the competitions for the Gunners, whose last 8 League Cup appearance ended in a defeat during 2017-2018 season. And it's actually a very sad way to actually, start a season, start your season's cup, run, because this is actually where the cup run starts. Arsenal is still very much in the FA Cup, quarterfinals, and of course as well of the UEFA Champions League, and now, last 6 or 7 games in the Premier League. I mean, what are the major 3 things, you learned from that particular game against, City?
For me, I think for Arsenal fans, I don't think it's time for them to be shaking. Even though they can be anxious, because we've seen it in times past where in the Champions League, they will be on a good run in the Premier League, play a game in the Champions League, lose that game, and it's going to translate into their games in the Premier League. They might lose like 2 or 3 straight. But I think what Mikel Arteta has actually brought out of these boys is that one loss does not really necessarily mean that the season is over. This is their 4th loss all season in all competitions so far. They haven't lost in the Champions League. They haven't lost in the FA Cup. This is their 1st loss in the Carabao Cup, which is the final. And they've only lost about 3 times, in the league. So for me, I don't think it's time for them to start panicking. Yes, they might, be putting all their energy into that Carabao Cup, saying yes, they can get a win. That win, if they had gotten it, would have given them a big boost of confidence. But of course, they didn't get to achieve that. It's Manchester City. I saw the people writing of Manchester City before the game. Everybody was saying it's Arsenal's time to win the trophy, but it's Manchester City, for crying out loud. So that didn't go to plan. But I think the Premier League, which is their primary ambition for this season, is still very much in play.
Still very much in play. But I mean, we saw that particular game. Like they always say in finals. Finals is like derby. Form is the last thing you consider. What are the 3 things Arsenal must learn after the cup game?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that they should learn is that to still keep their heads up high, despite that defeat. You need to keep your heads up high, and no matter what happened in that one. Yes, it was a painful loss for them. I think it would have been a very, very big boost and motivation beating your title challengers in the final of a competition. It would have been a very, very big boost for them. But then it didn't happen that way. I think they should not feel down. They should still keep their heads up, and then they should also be focused. Just like Afis said, they should have set their priorities. I believe they would have set their priorities, even if not telling the players. The coach, the board should have set their priorities. And I don't think you would want to prioritize a cup competition like a Carabao Cup over the Premier League. The Premier League should be their priority at this particular point in time. So I think they should still be right on track. Just keep your focus on the league. Just keep doing what you are doing. You didn't actually do badly. It was just a loss. It was just a game loss, and just continue to do what you are doing. Like right now, they just need to keep winning all their games and not even mind whatever happens to the team behind them, which is Manchester City. Just keep winning your own games, and then before you know, I think they've got about 7 more games to play. And if you win 4, you're already crowned champions of the Premier League already. So I think the ball is in their court. The momentum is still with them.
But let me chime in. Let me chime in. Right, you mentioned something about effect, and let's talk about the psychological implication of this particular game. How much of a damage will this particular game do to Arsenal's title bid psychologically?
I don't think it should. I think one thing that has helped this Arsenal side is I think is a much different side from 2 seasons ago and from last season, especially psychologically. I think last season and 2 seasons ago, Arsenal lost the game and then they lost it then. But this is they have lost the game, they have played a draw, and then they have bounced back the following week. I could remember when they played the draw, I think it was against Brentford, and people were saying that okay, maybe this could not be the time that Arsenal would just eventually lose it all. Then they had 2 London derbies to play, Spurs and Chelsea. They bounced back by winning those 2 games. So that is the Arsenal that we have now. They have shown that okay, if it was Arsenal of 2 seasons ago, they could have probably drawn point against those 2 London teams again, and that could have spelled the end for them. But the fact that they were able to bounce back then shows that this team, they might have changed mentally, like moving on from defeats. I think that is one thing that this team has actually learned. So losing against Manchester City in that particular cup final, I don't think it should be affecting them a whole lot mentally.
I mean, it was a game that was classified as the teacher versus the students, right? And we saw tactical display from both of them. Where exactly did Pep outdid Arteta?
I didn't get you. Please come again.
I said it was a game that was classified as mentor versus the mentee, right? We saw the both of them come out with different tactical wits to outwit one another. But where exactly did Pep get it over Arteta?
Yeah, I think where Pep get it.
Hafiz, I think we're struggling to connect with Pelumi. But I mean, you heard the question exactly. So where exactly
got it over Arteta was in determination. I think the determination than that of Arsenal players, and this is. This was the only realistic competition, or should I say realistic trophy for Pep Guardiola. We cannot afford to go back-to-back trophyless. So this was the only. So they were a lot more determined into that one. They just crashed out of the Champions League. They are 9 points behind Arsenal in the Premier League. They will be facing Liverpool in the FA Cup. Then they got into the final of the Carabao Cup. They knew that they needed to do something. It would have been a bad omen for Guardiola going back-to-back trophyless. So they knew that they needed to do something. So they were a lot more determined. And Arsenal just played into their hands, especially in the second half. So you saw a more determined Manchester City. And I think that was the moment. And then we should also say that they were helped by Kepa Arrizabalaga. So I think that was the moment where Manchester City got it over Arsenal.
We all saw that game, right? Yeah. I mean, both of them tactically they've shown that they're actually top managers. Yeah. Tell me exactly, how did Pep outwit Arteta in that particular game?
I think he just understood the fact that the game is played 2 halves, because the way that Manchester City started that game, they were poor in the first half, didn't have a shot on target. But I think that psychological edge gave them that he has seen the way Arsenal has been playing. A lot of people have criticized, Arsenal's playing style. And I also said that game, that loss, was just like a summary of Arsenal's season. Arsenal will come into a game, start very well, especially against a big team. Start very well. You said against Liverpool, even at the Emirates Stadium. They'll start very well, boom, 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 approach the game. They will try to get some few goals. The second half, they sit back. It didn't work in the first half against Manchester City. Instead of him to keep going, that's talking about Mikel Arteta now. He brought his players back. The midfield was non-existent, and Pep capitalized. It was just very simple. Football is a game of 2 halves. My first half wasn't bad. My first half was poor, even though I could say it wasn't bad, but it was poor. Then I could come out and approach the second half, and that was what Pep did. And he approached the game well. He shifted the game from the attention of Arsenal from that midfield, brought it to the wing, and we saw how his wingers, contributed to the goals, and that was how the game was won. Just very simple. He just capitalized on what Arsenal has been doing so far. That shows that as a manager, you have to know what you have to study your opponents very well, and I think that was just what Pep did. And of course, he's been there before him, and he got his 40th career trophy. Good one for the man.
Absolutely, good one for Pep Guardiola. Still talking about 2 top teams, in a league in Europe, and this time we're heading straight to France, as our sailors have stated their opposition to any rescheduling of their upcoming League One fixture against Paris Saint-Germain. PSG have requested to move their April 11 clash due to timing between the 2 UEFA Champions League games, and of course, that particular game will be coming up against Liverpool. However, Lens have made it clear in a statement that they are unwilling to agree to any change. The club currently sits second in the league, just 1 point behind PSG, who also have a game in hand. The request has drawn further attention after PSG previously had a domestic fixture postponed during the Champions League round of 16, allowing extra recovery time ahead of the matches against Chelsea. I mean, this is exactly where I get it, where I got uncomfortable about this whole story, right? I mean, Hafiz, this is the UEFA Champions League. There are rules. You play your league, you play, the cup tie. That's exactly why you're a top team.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, we saw what happened against Chelsea. Some Chelsea fans, some players in the Premier League, pundits came out to say it's actually unfair. You don't get that, extra leverage right there in the league. Is UEFA supposed to step into this particular matter? Because as it stands now, at the end of the day, it favors PSG, and they might also, use this particular means to go all the way again in this season.
Yeah, it's been going on for a long time in the Ligue 1, where we see PSG having a game, in the Champions League, and they will decide to be rested. They will submit a document to Ligue 1, and because it's PSG, that we know that when you mention Ligue 1, it's only PSG at this point in time that will come to your mind first. So yes, they will skip games for them. They will allow them to get enough rest. Sometimes PSG they might have won the Ligue 1 like 8 or 7 games to go. But this one, I can understand where Lens are coming from. This is a tightly contested affair. At some point, Lens were leading in the league, and now it's just 1 point. It's like they are trying to stop their momentum. They won their game this past weekend about 4 or 5-0. They have the momentum going for them. They know that it's against PSG, a top of the table clash. Should they win that game, they will go ahead of PSG with 2 points, even though PSG have the game in hand. So they know that you just want to stop our momentum. So they won't take that. They won't take that line down. I don't blame Lens for that. Because you want to play Champions League game does not mean that you should stop our momentum. Lens agreed, but Lens won't.
Tell me, look at this particular matter. I mean, it's actually an advantage for PSG, a disadvantage to any other team. Liverpool will be playing league, whether they are playing PSG or not. It doesn't change anything right there in EPL. Is it fair?
It's not fair
for PSG to continue to get this sort of favor in Europe? And if it's not fair, how should the UEFA actually step in? Okay, so we just got a report that Pelumi actually is being connected. We hope when it comes out, we'll bring him. Let's look at it again. Like, this matter is actually very much also a local affair. Yeah. Right. Should other leagues start prioritizing their teams playing European competitions? Say, okay, let's move your dates because you actually are playing.
It's going to lead to a backlash, because a lot of people will start complaining. So right now, what UEFA can do is to stop it. Let them honor their league game and come and play in the Champions League, because the teams that are playing against, just like you mentioned, they will be playing in their leagues. If there was an FA Cup clash before that Champions League game, Liverpool will play. That is why you have squad depth, and that is why if you want to compete on all fronts, this is what you should get. So PSG, they can agree to that in their Ligue 1. They can skip game, but not because they want to play Champions League. Not because of that. It's a continental thing, not just a local affair.
Absolutely. From that, we'll be definitely moving on to non-football stories, as Jake Paul has set his sights on a potential heavyweight clash with Francis Ngannou, describing the former UFC champion as an easy fight. Paul, who recently shared the ring with Anthony Joshua and lasted in 6 rounds, claimed he's confident of stopping Ngannou if they meet in boxing ring. He pointed to his durability against Joshua as proof of his ability at the heavyweight level. Ngannou, known for his success in mixed martial arts and his boxing appearance, previously faced Tyson Fury in a competitive bout before suffering a knockout loss to Anthony Joshua. Despite Ngannou's reputation, Paul questioned his boxing ability and suggested the fighter may avoid the matchup to prevent embarrassment. Paul is currently recovering from a broken jaw sustained in his loss to Anthony Joshua, but has made it clear that he intends to return to the ring once fully healed. And of course, moving on to non-sporting story as well, Jannik Sinner made history at Miami Open after breaking a long-standing record held by Novak Djokovic. The Italian cruised into the 4th round with a straight set victory over Corentin Moutet, winning 6-1, 6-4 in just 71 minutes. The result saw Sinner extend his run to 26 consecutive sets won at ATP Masters 1000 level, surpassing Djokovic's previous record of 24 sets in 2016. Sinner recently claimed titles at the Paris Masters, and Indian Wells will next face Alex Michelsen as he continues his push for another Masters title. I mean, Hafiz, look at this guy, Jannik Sinner. You talked about him all the time. How he's one of the biggest things right now in the world of tennis, and he's doing so well. Another milestone for him. I mean, what do you say about the young man?
Doing so well. I mean, the young star, and he's no surprise that he's chasing a record, led by Novak Djokovic. This is a man that, for me, it reminds me of a certain Roger Federer. He plays with a swagger. His service, you have to struggle to get against his service. Fantastic. For me, he should be world number one. But of course, Carlos Alcaraz, I mean, the very way he plays, his tennis, of course. But of course, recently in games, we've seen Carlos Alcaraz not getting up to speed. I think he recently also lost against a qualifier in the Miami Open. Is out. I think this one will be giving Sinner the possible points he needs to get back to number one. So good one for him, and I think he's going to get there. Soon, and he's going to stay there a long time. One of the best.
And Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou. I mean, who is going to actually win if that fight happens?
I think they used to say once beaten, twice shy, but it seems like one broken jaw will want to lead to more. You've gotten one against Anthony Joshua. Now you are going up against one of the best MMA fighters ever in Francis Ngannou. And you know that you are not really much of a boxer like that. Even though we've seen you stretch your stuff, he did well against Anthony Joshua, even though to me, that should have been stopped in the first round. But of course, we know the publicity they want to make out of that. Against Francis Ngannou, I don't think he's going to get so lucky. He might not last the first 2 rounds. Hafiz,
thank you for being part of Sport Republic this morning.
Anytime.
And of course, this is exactly what we'll be drawing the curtain on this episode of Sport Republic show this morning. And do well to join Sport Republic tomorrow as Kizzy will be taking us through the world of sport, bringing us all the latest updates as it unfolds. And do not forget to join the guys later this evening in Locker Room as Hafiz and Jerry will be doing business, breaking down all footballing stories. And up next is Midday News with David Edwin as he takes us around the world. I am Ikechukwu Agwago. Have a sporty day ahead.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react. Understand.
When you say, make Nigeria no happen to you, me sef go say, make you no happen to Nigeria.
You dey bypass your light meter. You dey jump queue.
Yet, you dey wait make Naija change for you. My brother, my sister, you sef change.
Oh yeah, see that Naija pikin wey pack dirty wey block gutter wey dey cause flood.
Naija pikin, make we dey care for our environment.
Gen Z is no one work. Now quick cash them they find.
Just like that, boys don't turn Pablo. And girls?
Hablets.
Wetin dey happen?
We dey argue online, spread fake news with our full chest, divide ourselves on top religion, tribe, and politics matter.
But we go dey shout, no unity for Naija.
My brother, my sister, unity begins with you.
Someone japa, nobody wants stay.
But who go fix Naija if no be you?
Omo, you go stay o.
Naija dey wait for us same way we dey wait for Naija.
That na why National Orientation Agency don bring this better ogbonge plan wey go change the game. That na 7 for 7 agenda. 7 promises from leaders and 7 citizen codes.
Equality, democracy, entrepreneurship, employment, peace and security, inclusivity, justice, meritocracy. Now the Naija promises.
But without our own discipline, duty of care and tolerance, respect and true leadership,
No, they look face, join body, make we run the race. Now you and me, now you and me, now you and me, go fix our Niger. Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and Rivers. Oh, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and Rivers. Oh, 7 promises, them don't talk 'em. 7 codes, now we go do 'em all. No, they wait, no, they look face, join body, make we run the race. Now you and me, now you and me, now you and me, go fix our Niger.
If we be true Nigerians, we go rise hand in hand. Uphold the 7 for 7 agenda for Niger, our home, our pride, and our strength.
Powered by National Orientation Agency.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Welcome to Romeo Pizza. Sink your teeth into our freshly baked pizzas. Loaded with rich sauce, melted cheese, and irresistible toppings. Where every bite is a love story. Treat yourself to our creamy, dreamy ice cream. Smooth, sweet, and made to brighten your day. Or maybe you want it hot and satisfying. Our juicy shawarma is wrapped to perfection, packed with flavor in every mouthful. Pizza, ice cream, shawarma. Why choose one when you can have it all? Romeo Pizza has exactly what your taste buds desire.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOPTV, Voice of the People Television.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs the voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Npfl. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, please discuss.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector.
Well, hello and welcome to the media news on Voice of the People television. I am David Edwin. First, the headlines. Opening of 15-kilometer Enugu-Onitsha Expressway session slated for March the 31st. President Tinubu praises Fintiri's fantastic infrastructure development in Adamawa State. Governor Seyi Makinde reaffirms commitments to PDP amid speculations. Dangote warns of work-from-home restrictions amid Middle East crisis. EFCC marks Abuja property linked to former AGF Malami for forfeiture. ICPC arraigns El Rufai today over possession of public property and money laundering. And in business, Naira plumbs 2.48% to 1,388 Naira 38 kobo per dollar. In sports, Qatar, Iwobi honored on Football Blacklist 2025. And in entertainment, EV premieres in Lagos. And now the news in full. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has directed that a completed 15-kilometer section of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway be opened to traffic by March the 31st, aiming to ease transportation challenges to the southeast. Umahi gave the directive during an inspection tour, citing the road's critical role in regional economic activities and its history of accidents and congestion. The section, part of a larger 214-kilometer project, is expected to improve connectivity and reduce time travel. Solar power streetlights will also be installed along the corridor. President Bola Tinubu has commended Adamawa State Governor Amadu Fintiri for his fantastic infrastructure development efforts, citing projects like the 8-lane Galadima Aminu Way and 21 model schools across the state. Tinubu made the remarks at a grand reception in Yola, where Fintiri recently joined the All Progressive Congress APC. The president, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, noted that Fintiri's alignment with the APC boosts the party's prospect in the Northeast. Fintiri's infrastructure push includes roads, schools, and government facilities earning him recognition as Nigeria's best performing governor in infrastructure development. In another development, a federal lawmaker, Lanre Oladebo, has defected from the People's Democratic Party to the Accord Party, praising Governor Ademola Adeleke's governance in Osun State. Oladebo stated that Adeleke has outperformed the APC-led administration in the state, citing infrastructure development achievements despite federal funding challenges. The lawmaker credited Adeleke's impactful governance, particularly in infrastructure, as the reason for his switch. Adeleke has been focusing on road construction, education, and healthcare initiatives in the state. Meanwhile, an Osun State lawmaker, Adesina Rabiu, has withdrawn his resignation from the Accord Party just hours after announcing his exit. Rabiu had cited personal reasons for his initial decision, but later reaffirmed his loyalty to the party and support for Governor Ademola Adeleke's re-election bid. Rabiu appeared in a video alongside the Speaker Adewale Egbedun and the governor's spokesperson Olawale Rasheed, announcing the withdrawal of his resignation. The lawmaker had defected from the People's Democratic Party to the Accord Party alongside 24 others in support of Adeleke's re-election. His reversal comes ahead of the party's crucial political events. And in Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has reaffirmed his commitment to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, dismissing speculations about a possible defection. Makinde made this known while addressing PDP stakeholders from all 33 local government areas in Ibadan, stating the party remains relevant and will participate in the 2027 general elections. The governor's statement comes after a meeting with former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi and former Bayelsa State Governor Senator Seriaki Dixon, hosted by New Nigeria's party leader Rabiu Kwankwaso in Kano State. Makinde's commitment to PDP has been questioned amid internal party crisis and defections. Moving on, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has criticized Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, saying he's entered a political battle he can't finish. Wike's comments came at the PDP's 107th NEC meeting, where the party resolved to move forward with its national convention on March the 29th to the 30th. The meeting served as the final clearinghouse for the party's leadership ahead of the March 29th and 30th elective convention. The PDP adopted a no victor, no vanquished stance to bridge internal divisions and rectify reports from recent congresses. Party leaders praised the exercises as transparent and credible, showcasing the People's Democratic Party's organizational health. In a communique issued after the session, the NEC officially ratified the reports from the recently concluded ward, local government, state, and zonal congresses. The communique was signed by Abdulrahman Mohammed and Senator Samuel Ayaw, both chairman and secretary of the party's National Caretaker Working Committee. Moving on, Nigeria and other African countries may adopt COVID-era work-from-home restrictions due to the ongoing Middle East crisis, according to Aliko Dangote, chairman and CEO of the Dangote Group. Dangote expressed concerns about the economic impact of oil price volatility on the continent, already burdened by debt after meeting with President Bola Tinubu in Lagos. The Middle East conflict has disrupted global oil prices, pushing prices up and threatening to worsen inflation and economic hardship in Africa. Dangote cited Indonesia's response, where workers are operating 4 days a week and full work-from-home arrangements are being considered. Meanwhile, the federal government, through the Niger Delta Development Commission, that's the NDDC, has opened applications for its Foreign Masters Postgraduate Scholarship Program for the 2026-2027 academic session. The program aims to equip young Nigerians from the Niger Delta region with advanced training and skills to enhance participation in local content initiatives and improve global competitiveness. The government says applications are open to indigenes of the Niger Delta region with a first class or second class upper division degree, and applicants must be below 40 years of age. The deadline for submission is April the 19th, 2026. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has marked an Abuja property linked to former Attorney General Abubakar Malami following a court order entering for future. EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale stated the action is a normal law enforcement procedure meant to notify the public about the property's status. Malami had questioned the legality of the action, arguing the court order was not specific on his property. The EFCC maintains it is enforcing a valid court order. The development follows a viral video showing altercations between Malami and EFCC operatives. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has condemned the action as state-sponsored intimidation and abuse of power by the Tinubu-led administration. Moving on, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has arraigned former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai before the Federal High Court in Kaduna today over alleged corruption-related offences. El-Rufai faces charges including conversion and possession of public property, money laundering, abuse of office, and fraud. The ICPC had filed 2 charges against El-Rufai, one at the Federal High Court and another at the Kaduna State High Court. The former governor has been in ICPC custody since February the 19th after being released by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The development followed a statement by ICPC's head of media and publicity communications, John Ode, that El-Rufai would be arraigned alongside one Joel Adoga. The arraignment comes amid mounting pressures from stakeholders, including the African Democratic Congress, which demanded the immediate release or arraignment of the former governor. The stakeholders had described the continued detention of the former governor without formal charges as a violation of his constitutional rights. Just to watch the media news right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us now to make sense of these stories and more in the studio with us is Barrister Darlington Agumo. Barrister is a lawyer and, of course, a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Barrister, very good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining the conversation.
Afternoon, David. How are you?
I'm fine, very well, thank you. How are you doing as well?
I'm okay.
All right, then. Joined us virtually as well to make sense of these stories is Ayoyinka Oni. He's a human rights activist and also a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Ayoyinka, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining the conversation this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Thank you so very much for joining the conversation. Well, let me start off with you. And I want to start off with this conversation coming from Kano State, where as we speak, former governor of Kano, I'm talking about Nasir El-Rufai, is being arraigned in the High Court today in Kaduna State. And most importantly as well, this, of course, is over alleged corruption-related offenses. Some have said that this particular arraignment seemed to be coming at a point where the political standpoint of El-Rufai is not aligning with the ruling party, which again is the reason for his persecution to the high to this point. What do you make of this conversation? Even though, again, as it stands, the case again is still in court.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me clearly, please.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Go ahead.
The situation of El-Rufai is clearly political. That is not changing out the fact that, of course, while he was governor of Kaduna State, there was massive corruption during his time for 8 years. But it's not the only one, of course. Same goes for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Akpabio, Ganduje, and many of them. There's corruption in all their cases. But the corruption cases never see the light of day because they're in power or they have their friends in power. And it always goes that way. But we want Nigerians to understand that corruption has victims. When people steal billions, millions of naira, people suffer, high cost of living and all, money went for infrastructure, diverted for personal use and all. But it is clear that this case is not going anywhere special for Nigeria. I'm going to give you a very quick example. I'm sure you have seen that in the news that an ex-accountant general of this country was jailed for 72 years for stealing 868 million naira. It was even an acting accountant general. It was not even confirmed, just acted for a while. Yes. Now, this is the cash phrase that Nigeria does not know. That 72 years has been converted to 8 years for him instead of the actual. So a man steals 68 million naira fraud, and all he gets is 8 years in prison. That is even because he's not as politically connected as he should be. If he is, he will not even be facing any of this. This tells Nigerians that El-Rufai's case is not because of the president or the judicial system want justice. It's basically because they are playing their political game. If El-Rufai can agree to work for APC or decide not to work for the ADC, his sins will be forgiven. The question that I will ask Nigerians is, what are we going to do about this terrible system that has double face?
Interesting. I'm still going to stay with you because that question you just asked is eminent. I mean, a couple of days ago, we in the news, we cited the former governor of Delta State, and I'm talking about Okowa, who again has aligned with the ruling party. You would recall that the EFCC also had a situation in the tune of, I think, 2 trillion thereabouts on his own case as well. But he's still walking free. And you did mention earlier that the likes of El-Rufai, this battle isn't clearly for the Nigerian people. And of course, looking at the body language of the presidency, this is about fighting corruption. But in the clear sense of it, is this kind of fight clearly based on cleaning up the system, or is it politically motivated from your perspective?
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not interested in fighting corruption. Anybody that says that is just going to be a joker, or a terrible person. That's the word to use. Corruption cannot fight corruption. I stated it here. That Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, as governor of 8 years, had cases with the EFCC. In his case, Akpabio and some other early governors from 1999, the 1999 class, was one of the most terrible cases. But he never saw the light of day because he was close to power, he stayed in power, and now he's in power. So the case is gone. So he's not going to stand up and start trying what he has done. What he will do, like all they have been doing with the EFCC, is to use the tool of the EFCC and the ICPC to go against their political opponent. Let's not even state it properly that Okowa was not just a former governor. Okowa was the vice presidential candidate of Atiku of the PDP in the last election. And he has said a lot about the APC, said a lot about Tinubu and all that. But immediately they showed him his case file that, Oga, we are coming for you. What did he do? He left his party, he denounced his party and surrendered to the APC. Today, his case does not exist anywhere. And it does not exist as long as he continues to play the ball with the APC. This government is not interested in justice. If EFCC is interested in justice, if EFCC is interested interested in catching all the people that have been robbing Nigerians, the former humanitarian minister, Betta Edu, will not be working free today. The ministers in Bola Ahmed Tinubu cabinet that they have corruption cases are out will not be working free today. All the senators that the corruption cases are out, that journalists have done beautiful work for us, showing us how they have been doing, they will not be working free today. They will have gone after them and they will try. In fact, they will be trying the president of Nigeria. They'll be telling us, we are trying Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His case is pending, immediately he's out of office, we can move further. In the US today, as powerful as Donald Trump is, his case is before the judicial system. He's sending lawyers, he's trying to use attorney generals and all that to block it, but people are still fighting it with the law. In Nigeria, you cannot take the case of any president to court and be trying to get justice. Everything is covered and protected and arranged by the ruling class. But it shows to those that are in power, like El-Rufai, that the same tool of EFCC, ICPs that they were using in their own time is now being used on them. It shows how quickly we all need to get this country working, because tyranny is coming to everybody's circle. It will get to you.
All right, then. Let me bring this conversation to the studio here. Barrister, the quest for justice, and of course, when I say justice, I'm talking about justice holistically when it comes to corruption fighting in Nigeria, is basically what Nigerians would love to see in the full-blown of the political landscape. Looking at this situation, in fact, as we speak right now, there is heavy security around the court in Kaduna State. From your perspective, do you think this particular corruption case against El-Rufai clearly is basically for the fight against corruption, as against what some others have said? And of course, Mr. Olayinka also alluded to it a couple of minutes ago.
There is nobody fighting corruption. What they are doing with El-Rufai is showmanship. Remember, why he is even going to court and all that is because he refused to join APC. He refused to stop what he is saying and what he is doing. Remember, he had taken them to court, and one of the allegations in his own affidavit is that ICPC told him to withdraw from political activities and they will let him go. That was what he alleged. So, with this kind of arrangement, do you think anybody is fighting corruption? It's not possible, because the people in power today, they thrive on corruption. Yes, their so-called political strategy and manipulation is based on corruption. And so, they cannot succeed in politics if they are not heavily corrupt. You know, it's like telling a snake to become short. It will no longer be snake now. It will no longer be snake. So snake is known for its elongated structure. I don't think anybody is fighting corruption. Let them forget that too. And I'm telling you, this thing will get to a point. They will ask El-Rufai to go home when something come up. Yes, even with the court cases. At a point, somebody may drop a word or two on his behalf, and it's okay. They put it in the cooler and then keep indefinite adjournment in court. That's it. There are many cases of 2007 and all that have not been seen the light of day. They are still there. But because it's a criminal case, it will still be there. Nobody will talk about it until events would have overtaken it. Then that one will go. That is what they believe in. That's what they do. And so let me that El-Rufai is being prosecuted for corruption. It's a big lie.
Now, looking at this analogy that you've just given now, would you say that the judicial system is no more independent of her own to be able to fight this level of corruption that we're stared at in the face? Because you would recall that the ICPC has filed 2 charges against El-Rufai. One is at the Federal High Court and another is at the Kaduna State High Court. I mean, why not just deal with it in one of the courts and make sure that you get justice? Is this a clear indication and the judiciary has become a tool in the hands of political elites who clearly is looking at with honking their political opponents.
The government in power want to make El-Rufai a scapegoat or how not to criticize them. They want to use him to keep others in line. That is what they are doing with El-Rufai. Because the two cases is to keep him busy. When he come out from this court, he will go to the other court. Maybe until the elections are over in 2027. But I think when he's granted bail, his lawyers will now consolidate the two cases if they are of the same nature. That's what is going to happen here. They are going to consolidate the two cases if they are of the same allegation. But apart from that, the judiciary only thrive when there is no political influence, when the federal government is not involved. Because the government will tell them it's for the interest of the states, it's for the security of the state, it's for stability of the polity and all that. You know? And so the judiciary will believe in what they are being told and do what they are being told. They will not look at what the law says in this case. But because of political interest, the judiciary will now, do what they are told so that according to those alleging, there will be peace in Nigeria. They believe that if the judiciary doesn't do that, there will be problems, there will be chaos, there will be anarchy. And when they tell them such things, the judiciary will now fall in line and do what they are told. Because in most cases, when they are independent, in some cases, they deliver good judgments. But anytime there is political interest and influence, forget it.
So this clearly has to do with the political influence and interest as concerning this.
Of course. If not, why did they detain El-Rufai more than necessary? Why? That thing is a bearable offense. And even when you are arrested, he shouldn't stay with you for more than 48 hours. He shouldn't. But look at how long they have kept him there. Look at how long. So that will tell you that something is going on.
Maybe a bit of diversion, Barrister, before I go to another story. The acting accountant general who was sentenced just yesterday, 72 years and of course slashed down to 8 years. What's your take about that story?
He's going to appeal it. He is going to appeal it, and at the end of the day, nothing will come out of it. Because those who had that money with him, you mean they will leave him go to jail? He is going to speed the bin now. Some people help in sharing that money. It's like the 210 trillion naira. Any day, some people are mentioned and all that. You mean they will not call others that help themselves with that money? David, you need to understand how this is working. Whenever they see big money like that, they make it go round. National Assembly, politicians, ministers, governors. So that when the bubble bursts, everybody will rally around to save the arrowhead. To avoid a backlash. Or have you not seen it? When cases like that come, they start naming people. The moment they mention some people, the case will just die.
Is that a clear indication of corruption fighting back?
Not in all cases. Not in all cases, so. Because this not about corruption fighting back. The first thing is, was there corruption? Yes, there was financial corruption. Right. Then what is the fighting back? They use it to cover the infamy they have committed. Ordinarily, why should any corruption fight back? On what ground? If EFCC are doing their job, who will fight them back?
All right, then. Let's move to another story because of our time. And I'm going to come to you, Mr. Ayoyinka, on this one. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has directed that a completed 15-kilometer section of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway be opened to traffic by March the 31st. I mean, the reason is clearly because he did say it's going to ease transportation challenges in the Southeast. Now, we're talking about a major project of about 214-kilometer project. Just 15 kilometer is being completed, and the minister is asking that it be opened for to decongest traffic around the Southeast corridor. Well, again, it's citing the road's critical role in regional economic activities, which its history of accidents and congestions is clear on that part. But what do you make of this story? Because this seems to be a project that is still ongoing. Why not complete it, according to some persons asking?
Well, when Nigeria ministers are talking, especially those that are involved in road construction, they are actually used to get some kind of excitement when they are talking about road. I don't understand the excitement anyway. This is 2026, 21st century. You know, road should not be what should be exciting anybody. So if the minister wants to open the road, should open the road and go ahead. Doesn't need to announce anything to us like it's anything special. But I want to see critically that the road infrastructure, this government are just joking and they play around with the life of Nigerians and just doing capital projects to have opportunity to steal more funds. I don't see or have not seen any seriousness in covering the issue of road problem in Nigeria. I've not seen it. If you are interested in making the Southeast motorable and the reduction of accidents and making the road to perfect facility, you go to the Southeast and make sure that all the existing roads are done. I can tell you any day, any time that the Calabar Expressway and all that is not going to any way solve traffic problem in Nigeria. Everybody is passing that road. So you are going to Odo, you are passing the road, you are going to South, you are passing the road. How will it decongest? Already, Lagosians are using it, there's already traffic on it. So these people are not making any progress when it comes to infrastructure, but they'll make special announcements on opening a road that are doing us any favor. There's nothing special about road. I'm not excited about road construction. If the government is going to excite me, we should be talking about robotics, AI. You know, if you're talking about free education, healthcare for millions of Nigerians, those are the exciting things. And speed train, not telling me about one Calabar Express concrete road. There's nothing exciting. If you open it, you have to open it. Stop disturbing Nigerians. He's the field minister. Yeah.
All right, then let me take this conversation to the studio again because we're rounding up because of time. Barrister, this conversation about capital projects and avenue for any administration to want to get more funding to themselves, do you also share this sentiment? Plus, the fact that of a 214-kilometer road, just 15 kilometers is being done and completed, and the minister is saying, look, this road should be open for decongestion of traffic. What do you take? What's your take?
In fact, is an avenue to eat money. The facts are there. When some people were in this Lagos, Aregbesola was their Minister of Works. And throughout the 8 years, we saw the roads they constructed and how much was voted for all those roads. The Lagos-Calabar Express Road, 47 kilometers of roads, cost us $1 trillion plus, $1 trillion point 50 billion. Meanwhile, world experts on road construction and all that, in spite of the topography of that area, they have already said that that thing cannot cost more than 50 billion naira. David removed 50 billion from 1 trillion. Look at the gap. And this is what Dave Umahi was beating his chest and telling us how much he used to. The Kano Maradi train railway,
right,
that Buhari constructed. Our man at ADB then, Akiwumi Adesina, he said he told Buhari not to do that thing because it is the costliest railway line in the whole world. Almost $2 billion. $2 billion. And is not going to add any value to our economy. You can go on and on and on and on. So it's an avenue to raking more money. Shagori Brothers, as of today, have collected a contract of $12.7 billion from Nigeria, as I talk to you today. All of them have to do with construction. Apapa Port.
All right, then.
So when you look at all this, you ask yourself, why are they concentrating on road, David? Whereas the economy is down, whereas people are suffering. No, tell me, why are they concentrating on this so-called infrastructure, building road, whatever? That is the avenue to eat money.
All right, then. Well, because of our time, really, I would have loved to ask more questions on these particular capital project conversation, but really, we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment. I want to say big thank you to Barrister Darlington Agumo for chiming in his thoughts on the analysis. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here.
My pleasure.
Also, Ayoyinka Oni, a human rights activist and public affairs commentator and analyst. Thank you so very much for also lending your voice on the conversation this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, then we'll take a very short break right now. When we return, International Day for Right to Truth concerning gross human rights violation. These and more when we return after this break. This is Stay with us. We're glad to have you back at Still the Media News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to all the stars. The world observes the International Day for the Rights of the Truth concerning gross human rights violation and the dignity of victims on March the 24th every year. The day highlights the importance of truth, justice, and accountability for victims of serious human rights abuses and honor their families' right to know what happened. Voice of the People TV's Ms. Amal Bala has more in this report.
Truth concerning gross human rights violations and for the dignity of victims is observed around the world. The day highlights the importance of truth, justice, and accountability for victims of serious human rights abuses. It also recognizes the rights of families to know the truth about what happened to their loved ones. The United Nations urged governments and communities to promote transparency and ensure justice for victims. The observance reminds the world that telling the truth is key to healing, reconciliation, and protecting human rights.
When human rights abuses are not addressed, it results into further abuses, aggravation of the abuses. It results into reprisal, that is, people who are abused may want revenge because the wound is not healed. It results into the person who commits the abuse to continue to show impunity and then further abuses. Telling the truth is very important because, one, it creates rooms for forgiveness, because if you don't tell the truth, the person you have abused feel like there's no remorse. So the anger is there, you may look for reprisal. And secondly, it results into the person showing impunity to continue the process of abusing others because there's no truth being told. Now, community can support victims by, one, the abuses must be identified. People who commit the abuses must show remorse so that they can be forgiven. Then, the people who have been abused have to be rehabilitated, they have to be compensated, they have to be welcomed. Stigmatization must be totally removed. For example, if you have a case of a rape, there could be stigmatization. If it is like a female, now the female may feel like she doesn't have the means to get a partner because everybody sees her as a victim of rape. But if there's a reconciliation and the community is involved, then everything is settled and the person can live his normal life. That's why in this part of the world, in the black country, it is difficult for victims of abuses such as rape to come out and say it because they feel like there's a reprisal from the community, there's a stigmatization. But in developed world, in which the community normally receive the victims, you see that it's easy for people to come out and say it when they are being abused, because the community always welcome them back into their society. So we encourage you too in Nigeria that the victims of abuses should be welcomed back into the community.
As the world marks this day, it reminds us that the truth and justice are vital for peace and healing. Honoring victims helps promote accountability and protect human rights for everyone. Mesomok Bala reporting for VOP TV.
Herman Mitchell for your that report. Moving on to other stories. Former Abia State Governor Orji Uzor Kalu has called on the Abia State government to immortalize late cleric Umar Opai ahead of his burial in Ohafia this week. Kalu described Opai as a spiritual leader with significant contributions to Christianity and national development. According to Kalu, Opai's influence extended beyond the pulpit, impacting lives across Nigeria and beyond through his teachings and humanitarian activities. Kalu said immortalizing the late clergyman would preserve his legacy and inspire future generations. He urged leaders to emulate Opai's virtues of humility, discipline, and dedication to service. Moving on, 4 persons died in a crash involving a truck and a Toyota bus on the Ijebu-Ode-Ore Expressway in Ogun State. The accident occurred on Monday night at the Ijebu-Imushin axis. The victims, 2 male and 2 females, adults, sustained fatal injuries and were confirmed dead at the scene, according to the Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC Sector Superintendent, Route Commander for Ogun State, Odusin Afolabi. Afolabi told newsmen that preliminary investigations indicate that the crash was caused by speed rule violations. He said rescue teams arrived within 8 minutes and evacuated the bodies to the state hospital mortuary in Ijebu-Ode. For his part, the sector commander, Akinomi Fashaki, urged motorists to adhere strictly to speed limits, particularly during night travel, and to ensure that towing equipment meets safety standards to prevent avoidable tragedies. And with that particular story, we move straight to business. The Nigerian Naira depreciated by 2.48% in the foreign exchange market on Tuesday, March the 24th, 2026, amid increased demand for the US dollar. The dollar was quoted at an opening average of 1,388 naira 38 kobo, down from 1,353 naira 90 kobo the previous week. The Central Bank of Nigeria's electronic foreign exchange matching system has brought recent stability, but intraday volatility saw rates reach 1,395 naira. Market analysts attributed a spike to end-of-quarter corporate requirements and a temporary dip in autonomous inflow. The parallel markets mirror the official window's downward trend, with the Naira shedding value as speculative activities resurfaced. The real exchange operators quoted the dollar between 1,415 naira and 1,425 naira for selling. Still talking business, Nigerians lost approximately 12.5 billion naira in telecom-related scams between 2019 and January 2023, according to a PwC report. Despite increased investments in security and public awareness campaigns by telecom operators, fraud cases persist. Globally, telecom fraud losses reached $38.95 billion during the same period. The report highlights AI's dual role in telecom fraud, enabling criminals to launch scams faster and at a scale, while also offering telecom companies tools to detect suspicious activities. And from business, we move straight talking sports. England defender Jess Carter Arsenal attacker Eberechi Eze and Fulham midfielder Alex Iwobi have been recognized for their off-field contributions to football on the Football Blacklist 2025. The annual list celebrates black figures in football, highlighting their achievements and efforts. 28-year-old Carter was recognized for her advocacy against racism and cultural change following racist abuse she faced during England's Euro 2025 win. 27-year-old Eze was honored for his foundation empowering youth in South London through education and sports. 29-year-old Alex Iwobi was recognized for his project supporting underserved communities through football. The 2025 list featured more women than men for the first time. It's compiled across 9 categories. Still talking sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen has undergone successful surgery on his fractured right forearm at Maslak AC Abadem Hospital in Istanbul. The Nigerian forward suffered the injury during Galatasaray 4-0 defeat to Liverpool in the UEFA Champions League round of 16. In a post on X, Osimhen's club, Galatasaray, confirmed the successful procedure was carried out at Maslak AC1 Badem Hospital in Istanbul on Monday by the club doctor, Dr. Yener Ons. Osimhen is expected to be sidelined for up to 6 weeks, with a recovery timeline for 4 weeks, followed by 2 weeks of individual training. He had previously stated that this timeline during the live stream with Nigerian influencer Kata Efe. And to wrap up the midday news, we go straight talking entertainment. It was all glitz and glamour in Lagos as Nollywood's highly anticipated film